Oh wait, what are we doing?
I knew it.
Just playing. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Gamer Credits. Got you. This is gonna be level 10. Let's introduce the players, starting with player 1, who it looks like I fooled him. BP.
Yeah, you got me, man. What's good? What's good? Glad we're able to do this again, man. It's been too long.
And then of course we got player 2, Star Child.
How's it going, everybody? Just gonna say I'm glad to be back.
Nice. And as always, player 3, it's your boy Kid Dream. So before we get started, does anybody have a gaming moment of the week?
I got a gaming complaint of the entire year.
Alrighty.
I mean, back to Overwatch, and this is like the end of the month. So for all of January, it seems like the people that I have been playing against have been almost 100% pros. I have yet to find just a normal, regular novice player to be able to feel like this game is fun. It's now too much of a competitive play just on the normal random, I guess, arcade style ones that we do with the 6 versus 6. And I just think COVID is making it where so many people can just be home and just get really good at this game. And I'm just, it's almost not fun to play anymore.
So kid, you should have been there, man. This man like had a breakdown or something. I thought he was like an android.
We all had a breakdown that night. Not just me, but I think I took it to the next level because, I could not fathom how certain things was playing out. Like they were breaking rules in this game. That was just ridiculous.
Hey, all I kept hearing was that if you speak it, go out. Like I was like, man, it's like the programming went bad, man. I was like, oh my goodness.
Notice sounds like to me.
What?
Sounds like you need to get good, kid.
Nice.
Listen. I don't mind that. I don't mind not being the best, but even with my best, should allow for certain moments in the game to play out the way it should. Like a shot at somebody should kill them if they have no health. But the way these people were playing, the healer just knew the precise moments to keep everybody alive on their team, and it's just like they were so skilled. It was irritating. I was angry at their skill level.
My goodness.
Yeah. It was a whole nother level, man.
Yeah.
There is an easy fix, right?
What?
Play a different game.
You know what? I'm not a quitter. I'm not. I'm just hoping that everybody gets back to work. I just hope that 2021 everybody can get back to work so that we can all get back to the baseline, skill levels again, to where games are just fun.
Nice. Okay. What about you, BP?
Nah, man. Other than just giving a shout out to Ghost of Tsushima Legends, keeping my game backlog high. I think I added like 5 games since. And I'm looking at them thinking, I'm gonna go ahead and run through these and doggone Legends. Keep looking at them like, you know what, maybe I can do this build, and I'm addicted. I'll leave it at that. So shout out to Ghost.
That's sad.
Sad. I know it's sad for you because you've been trying forever to get me to do something else.
Well, you won't ever get to it if you don't ever start it.
Hey kid, it'll happen. Just I'm slow about these things.
Oh boy.
What about you?
Just to kind of rehash last time, just want to let everybody know I finally was able to snag me a PS5. So
nice.
Wasn't this past week, but still just wanted to bring it up. So
the flex.
Yeah, definitely. Any exclusive PlayStation 5 games, come here for the information because I'll have it for you.
Must be nice. Ain't that right, Star?
Hey man, it's like when it comes to this team, if one of us have it, all of us have it. So that PlayStation 5 is all of us. So so kid, at some point I'm gonna just ask to borrow it from you because
okay.
yeah,
definitely.
So we all can have our hands on it, so we can all be able to talk about it to our audience.
Exactly.
Yeah, Star. I think you missed that tone in his voice.
I know. I heard it.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I got you.
It's for the audience, man. It's for the audience.
Oh yeah.
Is that what it's for? Got you. Okay.
You playing that card, right?
Okay. Listen, I get you. I get you. I'll keep that in mind.
All right. So, what are the topics for today?
I was about to say, speaking of people keeping things in mind, I think everybody recently has been keeping GameStop in mind with the stock price lately.
How about that, man? That's crazy.
It has gone through the roof.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, was it like 300%?
Yeah.
Well, it was
a lot.
Yeah, it was a much higher percentage, like overall. If you're talking about overall, yeah.
From where it was a year ago, I was basically last year the lowest it got to was about $2.
I think so. Yeah, I think that was the low end.
And currently it's after hours, but as of like today, it's about $312, $313 a share from $2.
Remember, kid, we were making fun of this stock, man. Remember how we were joking around like, oh, it's not gonna be around that forever.
Yeah. Can we educate the audience and myself as to what is actually going on without giving too much detail to make it too boring, because we don't want a financial lesson here. But I just want to know, how did this other hedge fund company thought that they was going to make money off of selling GameStop's stock so low? Like, how are they going to make money off of this company failing versus how they end up now losing money because the stock went high?
Basically, to put it in its simplest form, and I might even still be saying it wrong, but basically, the big hedge fund people, they saw and thought that GameStop stock would go further and further down. And so they were betting it would keep going down. But due to the recent wave of good news from GameStop, their online sales, they were up a couple 100% or something like that. For online sales, with the new CEO stepping in and
Was
wanting
it Reggie Fils-Aimé?
No. He Reggie's on the board. They got a new CEO from Chewy or something like that.
Yeah, but no one cares about him. It was Reggie. Reggie brought the actual.
There's the Nintendo guy.
Well, yeah, Reggie. I was definitely excited when Reggie came aboard, but unfortunately, no. This wave was coming from the new CEO who wanted to kind of restructure the company and everything. So that compared with the higher sales that they were seeing because of the pandemic, it made the stock price kind of go up a little bit. And that's when good old group of users on Reddit called Wall Street Bets got together to go against the hedge fund investors and kind of basically made the price go up by buying shares and refusing to sell those shares. So the price just continues to go up until people start selling, because the hedge fund guys, they have to buy the shares back. So eventually they're going to have to buy them. But if everybody is buying the shares and not selling them, the price will continue to rise.
So they're going to lose money just to buy those shares back.
Yes.
Yeah.
Unless the SEC and the rest of these individual groups out here get involved and try to do a little bit of good old market manipulation.
Oh, you saw that? You saw with like certain apps, like like Robinhood and E-Trader apps, or limiting people's access to purchasing more stock from GameStop in places like AMC. That's not a fair and free trading type of environment to me, when you can limit people's access to something.
Yeah, it's crazy, but the thing is, this kind of thing's been kind of going on, where they rig things up to work in their favor, and by them I mean the elites and the wealthy, of course.
The wealthy elites.
Yeah,
we don't have to have names for them because they're so rich that they don't need names.
This guy, but
yeah, we just know like two of them so far. We know Elon Musk. He's like one of the richest ones out there now, and Bill Gates. But there's people who are even richer than them that we just don't have their names.
But it is interesting to kind of see, to kind of step away from the whole stock market part of it and just look at GameStop as a company, it is interesting to see that there has been some good news. Oh, and I forgot to mention the whole Microsoft and Xbox or Microsoft and GameStop
That
partnership.
deal. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Mhm.
it is interesting to see that, people have been counting out GameStop for a long, long time, but this past year is, they've had some hiccups. They've closed a lot of stores and had lay off a lot of people, but there has been some good news for the company, with the increase in sales and the partnership and everything like that. So
Yeah.
it might turn around,
I just hope that they can actually treat their employees better. But
Hmm.
all in all, I love the company's availability for gamers like me. Like, there's nothing else out there like that right now where it's exclusive where it's only for gaming. Like, there's nothing like that. So for them to close, it's almost like how Toys R Us closed. Like, my heart just like there's nothing. I don't want them to leave because after them, there's nothing else but Amazon, and that's not as fun. You can't walk around Amazon and just look at things. Like,
Right.
Well,
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if GameStop's really going to turn around, but stranger things have happened. We'll see.
we'll see.
I'll
Yeah.
say, yeah, and I'll say I'm kind of like you, Star. I do like. I used to love going to GameStop, and I love the experience. And that was for the longest how I purchased my games was through GameStop because I like walking in, seeing the game, seeing people who love games like me, and I love that whole experience. But what's really turned me off from GameStop in recent memory is just their practices. They're so
Mm,
predatory.
yeah.
It's no longer I can walk in, get a game, and leave. They do you want to buy? Do you want to pre-order this? Do you want to get the season pass? Do you want to get the disc protection?
Mm,
It's just one
Mhm.
thing after another, and then what really hurts is when you go and you look online and you see that hey, these things that they're trying to sell to you, that that they rely on that for their job. If they don't meet these
yeah.
goals, they could lose their job and get punished and stuff like that. And so for me, it
Mhm.
kind of had his internal dilemma because like I don't want to see somebody like I don't want to hurt somebody by not purchasing something, but at the same time I don't need or want that stuff. So
Mhm.
due to that and a few other things, it's really why I don't go to GameStop anymore because I hate getting harassed every time I just try to buy something.
Now, here's the thing though, about us not going to GameStop, that's hurting them even more. And so, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
guessing that there's other methods to getting our frustrations out to the CEO and anyone that makes decisions for the company. But I still think we should support certain stores or industries that we benefit from. Because again, if there's no more GameStop, I'm guessing that physical copies of games might even go more on the decline to where the gaming industry will start doing everything digital, and so that limits us having access to our own games because they can do a lot of things on the digital store to remove certain games or block certain people from playing certain games. So we won't have free access like we once would have with physical copies.
Mm.
It's kind of what I'm hoping
Well,
from this new CEO to see if he'll kind of restructure some things. He probably
I was
won't
gonna
because
say
that is
overhaul.
probably how they make at least some of their money. So I mean, I don't see these practices going away, but maybe they could curb some things here and there, make a couple things a little bit better, and who knows,
Yeah.
maybe GameStop will be here next 10
I,
years.
I think they will. I think that because of the issue with the stock right now, and so many people have GameStop in their conversation, that right alone should keep GameStop relevant for at least 2021 to 2022.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. We'll see.
Because the internet moves on quickly.
The internet does, but the gaming
Uh,
industry sees how this is attracting more people towards the gaming industry. And so they may want to keep GameStop around because, hey, more eyes on games, more potential buyers.
so yeah, well, we'll see. Hopefully this stock keeps going up.
Mhm.
And maybe GameStop will be here for a while, but yeah, it's definitely been an interesting couple of days and weeks for GameStop. That is for sure.
Oh yeah,
Indeed.
to say the least.
So I'm calling it already, guys. I'm calling it already.
That is.
2020, 2021 is the year of delays.
Yeah, I agree. Due to what Cyberpunk is, are we going to talk about that?
Oh, that's what he's getting at.
Well,
That's no secret.
I don't think anybody could argue against me and say Cyberpunk it needed at least a little bit more time in the oven before it released.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think anybody would disagree with that. And so I
Mm-hmm.
think a lot of developers and companies we're gonna kind of see that. And not only that, I think that's gonna be a part of it. They're gonna see like, oh, okay, well, people were excited, but look what happened, and you know, if they just had a few more time, maybe it could have been better. But also just we're still kind of living in the pandemic, and a lot of companies are still working from home, and so that adds kind
Mm,
of really made developing these games a much harder and longer time. And so as we gone into 2021, we've already had a couple games get delayed. Hogwarts Legacy, the new Harry Potter
yeah.
game, got pushed back till next year.
Oh, I didn't
Um,
hear about that one.
yeah, it got pushed back. Returnal, the PlayStation 5 exclusive
Mhm.
from Sony.
The first
Granted,
exclusive.
yeah, and granted that was only like a little like a month delay, so it wasn't a huge delay, but it was
Mm-hmm.
still a delay nonetheless.
Horizon was delayed too, right?
Um, I, I think they gave like a window, but I don't know if it. I think it's just in that same window still or something like that, or maybe it got
Gotcha.
pushed to a later window. Maybe I don't remember exactly because they never gave an exact release date. So just kind of windows. Q1, Q2,
Oh,
Yeah.
gotcha.
and
Yeah.
even go ahead.
Hmm? No, I'm sorry. I didn't want to interrupt.
No, you can go ahead.
I mean, you already
No,
did, so no, I'm kidding.
Oh my god!
Nah,
I was just going to make a dig at Cyberpunk because
Ah,
you were making it. I mean, you was trying to just make baby steps, complain about some of the things
oh,
that's
buddy.
happened, but mind you, Cyberpunk gives you the opportunity to create your character from the ground up, and yet their game is set as first person, meaning that I don't think the game was ever completed. I think that game was supposed or was meant to be third person, and they just did not want to put in the time to complete that part of it, so they just pushed it out without the common sense that if you're going to put this much detail into your character, you kind of want to see your character in the game, not through cutscenes.
Do you think it would have
But
worked as third person?
Yeah, I
Out
think
of
it was meant
curiosity,
to
I
be
was.
in third person. I think that because there's been people on the PC that was able to hack the game and actually play it in third person. Mind you, it doesn't look great, doesn't look polished. It looks kind of crazy, but the actual building blocks for a third person game is already there. So they've been trying to get this thing as a third person perspective. But again, they rushed the game out for the holiday season so they can get these numbers.
Well, I know
I
they made the decision to, well, at least the word is that they made a decision to do the first person, or that I guess management was pushing for a first person. But when I think about it, I wouldn't be opposed to the third person aspect, but you do get that immersion as in first person, especially with the kind of storyline that they were going with. So I kind of wonder
yeah.
about that. Like, was it just a better call to do the first person? But I don't know.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I agree with BP. Early on when they kind of originally showed gameplay, it was always the gameplay of it was first person, but they did have third person cutscenes. And
Mm,
a year or two or so later, they did announce that they were removing the third person cutscenes,
Hmm.
and it was all first person cutscenes.
mm,
Um, and so yes, as the gameplay goes, I think first person was kind of the right move. I think the gameplay is fun, and like BP kind of mentioned, the immersion, it does really get you immersed into it.
mm,
Um, but I will say I would have liked a few third person cutscenes. Um, would have been nice to kind of see that a little bit more. Um,
mm.
so it was kind of interesting as to why they took it out. But for the most part, your regular gameplay, I think the first person does kind of fit it pretty good.
Oh, I mean, I get what you're saying, and I guess that could make sense too. But you can tell that this game was meant to be third person. That's my point. It was. I don't think the decision was made on the design or the immersiveness of the game. I think they just felt like they had to get this game out by the holiday, and so they cut out a lot of things that still needed work. Because that game, again, the amount of detail that you're placing on that character, you don't get to see that character. That's just ridiculous.
Well,
Mm.
it isn't that much detail. It has a character creator, but you know, it's only
So the
there's a good bit of
clothing,
sliders.
the tattoos, the making the character look any way you want it to look. You don't want to see your character like existing in that world. You just want to let everybody. I mean, it's not even multiplayer, so no one else is even seeing your character. So it's like, what was the point? What's the point to the character creation if you don't even need to see him or her or it or
And see, I
that?
would believe you if that very first gameplay trailer they showed off years ago didn't if the gameplay wasn't first person. If they had it started off with third person, I would say okay, yeah, but it kind of
But
started with first person.
you gotta
So
remember they did that because they weren't done with the third person perspective. They just wasn't ready. So they had to show you something, and that was what they had at the time. But you
well,
can
but that's the same gameplay that has come out to be quote unquote
oh
fake or whatever.
yeah, that was fake.
So I mean, it's all I would give you it if they use the third person gameplay, but they didn't. So
Yeah.
that's why
Yeah.
I'm just kind of I don't know.
I don't know. I got other complaints from other games that I
Oh boy.
think should be third person, but
But
yeah.
So,
back to delays.
yeah, well, I was gonna say to add to what you were saying, Star, just based off of your perspective and what you believe happened, especially with them just making the rash decision since you said they weren't ready. Do you both of you guys, do you honestly feel like this is going to be a trend for other companies to see and say, oh yeah, we're not going to do that because it's so disastrous? Or do you think it's going to be the same kind of like business as usual?
No, it
Where
can't
you'll-
be. Look at what happened. Look at the fallout from this game. I think that all these companies are looking at this. There's no way someone is going to make the same mistake within the same, span of time that we are still learning from the mistakes. That would just be disastrous. So no, I think they are learning, especially
Mm,
Microsoft with Halo.
yeah. Well, keep in mind though, there was Anthem and then the Avengers, and people said the same thing about that.
Well, that wasn't as big. We were expecting those companies to make the same mistakes. Cyberpunk was
Mm,
done by CD Projekt Red. That company at the time was supposed to be above and beyond the greed of the CEOs. They were supposed to be the saviors. And
mhm.
so by them also falling from grace, I think that this is a turning point for consumers to be like, know what, enough is enough. And if another company makes the same exact mistake, we may, as consumers, not buy that product.
So you think so? With that being said, it's more of a lesson you're saying the consumers are taking versus other companies.
Yes,
You're banking more on that,
companies are just greedy,
right?
regardless. But as a consumer, we purchased these games, and as you can tell with Cyberpunk, we turned around and wanted refunds.
Mhm.
So yeah, a lot of these companies saying, "Oh, yeah, this game sold this many copies, but
Mhm.
how much money did we lose with those refunds?"
Well, and another amongst other things too, right? Like with the, well, like just about their stocks, for example,
Oh
the
yeah,
goodwill. So, I know there's much more to it than that. So, yeah, maybe those are things to look at as well.
yeah,
Because I mean, they still sold really well, but like you said, there's other factors to it that you have to look at.
yeah.
What it could cost you down the road.
I mean, the hype was so big for this game that it should, if it was released perfect the way that they sold it, the idea for it,
Mhm.
mind you, I would not be here right now complaining about anything. Cause this game looked like a dream, and it's a nightmare for console gamers.
Last gen console gamers.
The Pro was technically last year too, but the PS5 and even the Xbox Series S, it's still not as perfectly optimized on those consoles.
But it's still a pretty decent experience. Still a good experience. It's still much
Yeah,
better.
but
Yeah.
does
So,
not it doesn't meet what I would say a first party type game to be released. Like it should not be coming out half done or a third done. I don't think it's even half done, but whatever it is, it's still like it should not have came out yet.
well, but to give credit where it's due, I mean, yeah, you're right about the release. It shouldn't have definitely happened like that. But to give credit to the developers, they are hard at work at getting it to where they would like it to be. So,
Yeah.
Gotta go.
2023 people, Cyberpunk.
Oh my, this guy right here.
But
This
kids,
man hasn't even played it.
I was gonna say, kid, you've been
not gonna
playing it,
put money in
so I
that
mean,
game.
kids are having a good
Exactly.
time though. So you
It's a
talk
fun
to us
game.
a little bit about your what is your thoughts though? What is your takeaway on it? Do you think that companies will learn from this? Do you think we as consumers are gonna actually have that enough is enough attitude going forward? So if any other moments like this happen again, we'll put our foot down, be like, yeah, no, we're not messing with that. What do you think?
I think some companies will. Yeah, a little bit of yes and no. Some of the
Mhm.
more quote unquote pro consumer companies, they'll kind of look at it and say, yeah, okay, maybe let's take a little bit more time. Or companies that really want to make sure they get it right. And maybe not
Mhm.
even directly stemming from Cyberpunk. Um, but I think a lot of companies will. So some companies will want to look at it and maybe say, yeah, let's just take some time. And so far, we're about a month into the new year, and we've seen companies have already started to make that stance, and they're saying, look, we're going to take a little bit more time. And so that, yeah, but as far as consumers go, I want to say no. People are impatient. And
Yeah,
so,
that's
I mean,
true. I mean,
just look at, for instance, Cyberpunk when they were announcing delays.
mhm.
How many developers and people got death threats and people shouting to the roof, release
Yeah,
the game, release the game,
yeah, that was
and
insane.
even then, and even when the game is released, most people don't want to wait until that new patch comes out or the updates come out or DLC comes out to fix it. They want to play it now. You know what I mean?
I've
Everybody's
seen that.
playing it and everybody's talking about it now. People don't want to wait 6 months for it. If it's out, they want to play it now. So I don't
Yeah,
think
I've seen that. I've seen people make, well, at least YouTubers, they would make comments like that, like, "Well, I'm just gonna hold off and not do anything because they're gonna patch it and work it out," only for them to come back a week later and it's like, "Well, I actually decided to
yeah.
go in there, just to kind of check it
Yeah.
out." Which I'm not fault, I'm not faulting them at all. But yeah, to your point,
It's a
people
shiny
just
new toy.
yeah,
Nobody
want
wants
to
to
buy
wait.
something. Yeah, nobody really, not a lot of people want to buy the kind of things and just have it sit there, and not experience it. So
I want to say, did Cyberpunk stock recovered after the initial fall, or is it still low?
I haven't been keeping up with it. I'm not sure. I heard it. I think I heard it was going back up.
Okay. You know whose
I
stock
don't
did
know for
not fall at all? Just throwing
Oh,
this
buddy.
out there. Nintendo. Yeah,
sure.
yeah. We can. Are we going to discuss Nintendo and their pro rumors, or are we going to save that for another show?
I mean,
I was
you
trying
gotta
to
put.
get through the delays.
Yeah,
You the one that brought up
let's
Cyberpunk.
talk about
Hey
the
kid,
delays. Yeah, to keep talking.
man.
Yeah,
Yeah, he wants
I
his
just
Nintendo, man.
I just wanted to, I just want to make sure because this is almost like a damper point in the show to talk about Cyberpunk because a lot of people's feelings are hurt because they wanted CD Projekt Red to do amazing with this game. But I
Mhm.
also want to put in the highlights. The good part about the world is that Nintendo exists, but we can still talk about the delays. Yeah, I'm good.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, man. After this, I better not hear anybody complain about delays ever again.
Yes.
It's still gonna happen.
Yeah, it will. I know.
Still
I'm
gonna
just
happen.
cheeky about it, but yeah, I'm definitely gonna give him that look. Like, really?
Yeah, you don't want to rush a game or rush a haircut. No, you don't want any of those things
Oh
rushed.
my
It's
goodness.
gonna say December
Our
2020.
food. Our food. But I will say this about delays. I kind of told BP this the other day. When it comes to delays, my stance is always kind of like, look, take the time that you need. I'd rather get a complete game or a finished game, rather than a buggy, unreleased, broken mess, whatever. My only issue is when you find a new date. If you announce a new date, then stick to it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
That was
but this is COVID. This is a COVID era. So like these delays aren't just because people are just either lazy or don't have the financial backing to complete certain things. No, it's a different world we in now. So
Mhm.
games, I don't think they should be releasing dates. I think they just like they did with other games, just give a window, like a quarter window. Like this in this quarter, it may come out, but don't do really like
wait.
dates because it's unrealistic right now.
But yes,
I
and
should.
that's my thing.
Mhm.
Go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead. Go ahead. That's fine.
No, I was just saying, yeah, if they release a date, then stick to it. Otherwise, don't release a date. Just say, hey, look, we need more time. Okay,
Again,
cool.
Cyberpunk. The reason why this game had to come out back in 2020 around the holidays is because this game has been eating at the pockets of CD Projekt Red for how many years of development? This game had to sell and it had to sell big. And the biggest part
Which it
of
did.
the actual selling time of the year is between Thanksgiving and Christmas. So the game was pushed out unfinished regardless. They knew it was unfinished, but they knew people was going to buy this game in that window, and that's all that matters was sell the game, and then we would just work on the fallout later. So they knew this was going to come.
Yeah, buy now, clean up later. I got you.
Yep.
Yeah, but at least it's better than what other companies have pushed out.
That is true, because Max Effect 4, I think it was, that had just the worst glitchiness that I mean, to this day you can go on YouTube and just laugh at a lot of the weird things that that game did before the patches came through.
Mhm.
But again, with Max Effect, it's like it's not Cyberpunk. It's like CD Projekt Red was just this glowing light at this in this tunnel of an industry that we all know is about greed.
Hmm.
Listen, still a good game, and they're gonna
Mhm.
fix it.
Yeah. I'm hoping for it. I'm not gonna knock it, man. I kind of want games to be fun. I'm a gamer. I mean, so yeah.
But just to throw a little thing in there quickly, since we're still talking about delays and about that, it's about the hype train because again, how long they've been hyping Cyberpunk? Like how many years now? But 7 years,
I
I
will
think.
say by 8, wasn't it? Is it 7? Okay.
Well, I think 8 when they first kind of gave a teaser about it, right, kid? If I'm not mistaken.
2013 back then.
Well, okay. So 7, 8 years, regardless. Okay. But get into that hype train point that I want to bring up. We're speaking about delays. Do any of y'all see any adjustments that need to be made towards kind of like building up that type of hype for a game like that? Like in other words, like for me, I have a viewpoint of maybe it should be closer to the time when it releases, when they start getting that hype train going, like maybe a month or so, a few months. But what do you think?
Here's the
Like, do you
thing.
think it's cool to say, hey, 4 or 5 years out?
Here's the thing, though. I look at it, and I'm just not being facetious when I say this, but Nintendo. I look at how Nintendo did it with Metroid Prime 4. This game has been discussed by Nintendo officially once to say that this game is coming out. It showed you a nice little title screen of the game. That was it. They did not try to push anything else about this game. So it's
Mhm.
like we didn't even want a release date. We just want to know you're working on it. And
Mhm.
I'm fine with that. And I'm fine when you finally tell us the date. I'm not rushing this game. I want you to take your time and make a good game. And that's how most companies should approach it. Tell us that a game is being developed and leave it alone. Don't give us dates. I mean, no, we don't really need a date because it's not like my wallet is going to be available for this game on the date that you tell me is coming out. No, it's just I just want to make sure that you're working on it and that at some point, me being a buyer, my anticipation is based on a finished game being released, not a date that you are trying to meet because you made some crazy prediction of when this should be ready.
Okay. So you want it strictly left at we're working on it. You don't want anything else in between, like
Nothing
it's
in
gonna have these
between.
features, it's gonna have, what I
Nope.
mean? Okay.
No need, because unless it's unless it's a brand new IP that no one understands what this thing is, you might want to try to every quarter or other quarter, just show us some type of development to it, or just do a little Q&A on it, but no actual dates. I think that's going to be the Achilles heel to most of this for any companies from now on. Like if you give a date and you don't meet that date, that's yeah, this
Mhm.
is not a good look.
Gotcha. What about you, kid? What you think?
I just want it whenever the game's close to coming out, a year or two.
Okay. So about a year out at the most, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't want you to announce something 5 years later. It comes out just a year or two.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was just thinking a lot about that because I go back to like the Diablos, for example, and because those games would take time people were kind of debating about that before, I believe, when they would see a trailer and realize, oh, this game ain't gonna be out for like a good 5 or 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
So, and anything honestly, most of the time I forget. I don't know about y'all, but I often forget about things when they announce it and it's like 6 years away or something.
And that's fine. Yeah, I don't need to always be reminded that, oh, we still working on this. I mean, I hope so. I mean, just tell me that the game is being developed, and then when it's come close to it being released, then tell us that it's
Right.
coming out. Don't just keep making these weird predictions. And then on top of that, when you know that date that you gave us is coming close and you're nowhere near it, and now you're forcing developers and game designers and programmers to work overtime just to meet this very crazy schedule, is like, no, this make it a healthy environment for everybody. Don't give us dates.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay.
My last prediction, I think God of War is getting delayed.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. What made you say that?
I still think it's too early for God of War 2, from
Right.
2018 God of War.
But do we officially know it's God of War 2? I'm just curious.
That's what I was saying. I think it's too early for God of War 2.
Yeah.
And I mean, if it is like more of a Miles Morales type deal with this God of War Ragnarok,
Mhm.
to me, that's more of what I'm kind of thinking it is. I just still think, just with everything going on, I mean, I just don't think it'll come out this year.
Hmm.
I think they'll push. I think they'll put Horizon into their, winter, November, December kind of window to be their main holiday seller, and I think that'll be their big seller this year.
You make a good point, because technically, even though they had sold a lot of PlayStation 5s, a lot of those consoles sold are not actually in the hands of actual gamers. They're in the hands of scalpers. So if they make this major IP game available this year, that game won't sell as many copies as it can potentially sell, because not a lot of people have their hands on the actual PlayStation 5 to pay for this game to play it. So they may have to just purposely delay it to next year, where they can actually get more, people on the PlayStation 5 and not just scalpers holding on to it, hoping to make a buck.
Makes a lot of sense, I mean, you look at things that are getting delayed now, and then, like, I think Resident Evil, well, I can't say if it was delayed really, but 'cause I thought they were talking about that was supposed to be released early this year, but I think the official date is what, May 7th, I believe?
Early this year,
What's that?
May. That's first half of the year. That's
Yeah, that's
I
kind
mean,
of
it's
like,
closer to the half though, but I mean, I'm just saying, given the conversations I think that we had before about when it was gonna release, and I think it was supposed to be around this time, actually, I think.
so you're saying that they may be delaying it because not enough people going to be buying the actual game, because not enough people have their hands on the PlayStation 5.
I mean, maybe a suspicion, but, I mean, for all I know, it could've been other things, but
well,
Yeah.
it's gonna be on last gen too, isn't it?
I mean,
Is
it
it?
is, but
Oh, I
I know
didn't
that.
know that. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
kinda happy for that. Cool.
yeah, but I
You
just
know,
kinda feel like to recognize the full scope and potential of, like, the new next, because I know they were touting a lot of the features for the next gen, so.
yeah. I just think that we didn't talk on the scalpers at all, but I just think that the industry from so many angles is being attacked. And I just hope that I just hope that I just had this huge thought in my head, but I'm just hoping that with all the things going wrong with the gaming industry, that at some point they gonna all go to the thinking of, instead of going through the headache of making these great games, what sells right now and what can we use to make more money? And they just gonna go towards phone games and just stop making all these amazing, great console and PC games, because it's easier just to throw those phone games out there, because you get more of a market instead of just the niche crowd that basically supports this industry.
They're already doing that.
Yeah, they are. And I was just thinking it can get worse because the industry is just getting hit hard by so many things.
Mainly
That-
greed, but yeah.
That's how it is in the MMO world, because I dabble in MMOs a little bit here and there, and a lot of the new ones are going from the PC to now mobile,
Yeah.
just because like in like Korea and China and stuff like that, like though that market prefers handheld and on the go type stuff.
Yep.
Mhm.
And so most games are tailored to your phone because you can just take it and go instead of an actual console. That those sales are actually, it's not what many people do there. They actually, play stuff like on their phone and on the go and everything over there. So there's a lot of
Yeah.
companies going towards.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
scary because it's like it's a different experience when you're playing on the phone versus playing in your home on your TV. And I don't mind because I got a Switch, so I don't mind playing on the go. But on the go is a temporary thing for me. I actually would rather be on my TV pushing 4K graphics or these 1080p. Like I'd rather just be seeing the glorious graphics with the gameplay than just having the convenience of just playing anywhere I'm at.
It's interesting you mentioned 4K.
Yeah, yeah. There's a reason I threw that in there. Yeah.
And then and why is that?
Well, Nintendo's Switch Pro. Yeah. Yeah. They are Nintendo. It's been rumored that Nintendo is telling all their developers to start making their games 4K ready. And no one knows why, since the Switch does not push 4K graphics. But it's also leading to this rumor bill that the Pro is coming soon, and it may come out 2021.
And what do you think the
So
Pro is?
Well, full disclosure for our audience, we already
Nice.
had this conversation earlier, and I didn't want to sound phony to my my two host here. So I'm going to just let you know that we had this conversation already. So here's the thing: the Pro is not going to be a handheld upgrade of the Switch. The Pro is going to be the dock itself. Nintendo has stopped selling the dock to most other third party stores, or not third party, but to other stores. So you can't buy the stock anywhere but directly through Nintendo. So Nintendo's have been updating their docks to have, well, they switched to have different colors. So they are kind of trying to get rid of their inventory with their older docks, because I believe that the newer dock is going to have a Tegra chip in it that's going to allow them to use the DLSS software that's going to upscale their games to 4K for TV purposes. The handheld is still going to be the same Switch. They may upgrade the screen on it so it can be more of the current, I guess, fidelity and better power, I guess, and everything else. They may do certain things with the handheld part so that it can be better on the battery. But the dock is where it's going to be able to push the 4K graphics.
hmm.
So you're
So yeah,
saying just more of a new dock rather than a new Switch itself.
there still may be another Switch, but that Switch is just going to have a better screen. I think they may even do a better job with, because the Switch Lite currently is the monster when it comes to the battery life. So they may have the newer Switch do better with the battery to compete with the Lite's battery. But at the same time, there's nothing they can technically do with that handheld internally to let it push 4K unless they're gonna sell this thing for maybe $400. Let's say $399. But if they allow for you to just spend $100 on a newer dock, just so you can upgrade your graphics to 4K on the TV, a lot of consumers won't be too angry with Nintendo with doing that option instead.
So now you're switching it up. Now you're saying they're gonna do a new system and a new dock? Is
Well,
what
I
you're
mean,
thinking?
not a new system. That's like how. All right, so let me try to make it word better than it was before. What I think is going to happen is that Nintendo always upgrades something of their systems. Like they always think of a better way for a better experience. But the Pro that everybody's thinking is going to come out isn't going to be a whole new handheld device. It's the dock. But at the same time, Nintendo always upgrades their products. So their next handheld may still be the same current Switch internally, but they may give you better screen and better battery life just because they know that they are listening, not knowing, but they're listening to the consumers. They know the things they are requesting, and they want to meet that.
Gotcha. Okay. What you think, BP?
I'll be honest, not really sure what to think about it. You know what I was thinking about? It's kind of really off topic, but I was thinking about when you was mentioning all that. I was thinking about the Switch Lite and what they were going to do with that, because obviously I've been hearing buzz too about the rumored Switch Pro and all that stuff. And in my mind, I'm thinking, well, they can still milk, the Switch where it's at now. So I mean, there really wouldn't be a need for the Pro. But I don't know. I was just starting thinking random about, like, if they did do that, I mean, would they continue to Switch Lite? Because I mean, as far as you guys are concerned, is that even really doing much of anything to Switch Lite?
The Switch Lite is selling, but it's still not selling as much as the actual Switch itself. But yeah, the Lite sells in China big time.
Gotcha.
Well, not China. Sorry, Japan, not China. China is technically, Nintendo's still having issues the same way Sony is. But I think one of the things that I read about was this one developer that makes games for Nintendo. His point of view was this: if you look back at how PlayStation had created their PlayStation Pro, no game developer made any exclusive games for the Pro. All the Pro was to allow for console gaming to be in 4K for PlayStation games. So technically, what Nintendo's doing, if it makes sense on a perspective of financial reasons, if you still want to sell this product but not mess up the actual name of the Switch, because that idea with the Switch is people always think it's the duality of it being handheld or docked as a console. Don't mess that up. Keep that the way it is. But if you need it to become 4K, you just create the dock to be able to upscale. But again, the guy was saying, why make a whole new system that's going to be able to play games that the older system can't play? So it does not make like financial sense. So it's basically allowing you to use all the current games, just having it upscale to 4K. That's the key. And you can do that through the dock. You don't have to create a whole nother system for it.
I'm just kind of curious to see if they really even need to upscale it, honestly.
Yeah,
or why would they want to?
Everybody has 4K TVs. Why would you not want to see Zelda in 4K? Metro Prime 4. How do you not want to see that in 4K? I mean, that game, if that game comes out this year, that might be the game that's going to push if it is a dock, that might be the game that may push it. Like, hey, Metro Prime 4 coming out, by the way, in 4K. And this is also what we are offering for Thanksgiving 2021, new Nintendo dock.
I mean, I was just kind of thinking back to, like the Wii, for example, because, the Wii was still behind. Like, it didn't really captivate too much on the, what was it, the 1080 at the time. I think that was a benchmark. So,
and people didn't play 60 frames per second, though.
Oh, no, but what I'm getting at is, when you think Nintendo, when people play it, it's about the fun factor more. It's about the gameplay itself. Not really so much the visuals.
No,
at least from my understanding of it.
Yeah,
Nintendo. That's not true. I'm a Nintendo fanboy.
We know you couldn't tell that.
We want 4K. I mean, that's the thing. Nintendo is finally listening. Remember, Nintendo's hard-headed. I'm gonna put it out there. At one point with the GameCube, they didn't even think that most gamers were willing to play online. They were thinking, "Oh, that's just a thing. It's a niche. No one needs that." So Nintendo's been very behind on the times, but their leadership did change over the years. And so, they're not thinking on the old ways anymore. They are actually looking for this 4K option. And I believe that that's the reason for it, because they're listening to the consumers. Why have a 4K TV in your house and your game isn't pushing 4K graphics? And again, with the DLSS system that they currently are using through NVIDIA, well, not currently using, but NVIDIA has developed, you can take any of these current games and have the AI upscale it without any additional work from any game developer. So there's no additional money has to go into that. So I think that this is a win-win. It's very easy, and it's just something I guess the consumers want and Nintendo can offer.
I'm kind of with you, BP. Nintendo thinks differently, and I agree 1,000% with you, BV. I think Nintendo, for the games, are known for being fun, being family friendly, and being cartoony. And not to say they don't look good. I just think each Nintendo game has its own unique charm to it. And so,
Mhm.
honestly, I don't. And kind of like you said with the Wii, their technology has always been behind because they rely on it. They don't need that cutting edge graphic to make it that system seller. It's more of the fun factor for these games. And so
Yeah.
personally, I don't see 4K for Nintendo kind of being a priority of them, just because I mean it's 2021, and there's the handheld Switch can't even does like what 720 if that. So
Yeah,
it's just they have a long way to go, to really even push 4K, because
mhm.
even docked, I think it really does 1080p or whatever.
No, it
And
does 1080p.
well, but
Yeah, I
not
mean,
not amazingly.
yeah. Well, and I mean, I'm thinking just, and I guess I think more about it because of what's the main focal points that they like. When I say they, Sony, Microsoft, what is one of their big things that they do to get gamers, revved up about games and stuff? Like, what's the big sticking point you hear? It's the graphics, fidelity. Oh, we can push this
Yeah.
4K, and we're gonna have our new next gen systems at 120. It can do up to 120 FPS. Like their main focal points is the high end of the processing, right? Whereas Nintendo has always kind of been still rooted with the no, but look, and I think this is why Nintendo has the following that it does, is because people can be like, look, I don't care about all that stuff. I don't care about all the highest fidelities and whatever you can put out there. We just want something that's fun. I want something I
That's
can sit down with my family with and just
I
have a
got I gotta say no to that. The consumers that buy those 4K TVs, they want 4K games. Nintendo
Do they
buying
want 4K games,
consumers.
or do
No,
they just be told that they want
I'm
that?
no, I'm just saying. No, we do. Why would you? Here's the thing. Why would you have a 4K TV and then watch TV shows that's still in 480? Like no,
Mhm.
like it's just common sense that if you have this TV, you need for whatever you're plugging into it to give you the same resolution that the TV can push.
Mhm.
Nintendo just always been very
Behind.
again, I don't want to Nintendo, if you're
Behind.
listening, I still need you to know that I'm a fanboy, and if you can send me any type of endorsements and things, I'm not
Oh,
knocking
buddy.
you. I'm not knocking you. But Nintendo has always been stuck to their core belief systems of making fun games. They never cared about pushing consoles. They only care about pushing the software,
Mhm.
and that's been a great business plan. It kept Nintendo making billions for years. So
Mhm.
not knocking them, but their management has changed. And their new management is focused on online gaming, and they're also focusing on pushing 4K.
Mhm. Gotcha.
I can maybe give credit to that if last year they didn't make the Switch Lite.
But the
Because
Switch
that
Lite is for the Japanese audience because, again, like you said before, in Asia and in locations outside of America,
Mhm.
everybody's on mobile. And
Mhm.
so Nintendo's not just strictly Europe and strictly American. They are strictly global. And so the biggest market for them is the Asian market, not the American market. So Light was made because that's marketing and targeting a certain demographic that Americans aren't technically that way yet, but we're getting there. We are becoming very mobile heavy.
Mhm.
Yeah, but what I was saying was, like, with the Lite, they didn't push for that 4K, display. They didn't even push for, 1080 display. It was still
See,
kind of that
we
same
talked about this on
display.
the last show. That's why I was just like, okay, sorry, on this full disclaimer, we tried this on the last show. Now, you can't push 4K on a small screen. It's just not going to work. It's not going to
Have
look
you
pretty. It's
have
just
you
like
had a
you may think it looks pretty, but 4K or 1080p on that tiny screen, just
have
going to be too much detail that's
have
trying to move around on that tiny screen that you just not gonna even notice.
have you
So
had a
it
smartphone?
yeah, but no, even with the smartphone, it's not
Oh.
no, even with the smartphone, it's not necessary. Okay, how long does your smartphone last on a charge on a game processing 4K? Nintendo's trying to do a lot of things with this handheld. Save battery life and give you a great game experience. You ain't gonna get that on a smartphone. That smartphone may last you a half hour if you try to play a 4K game. So yeah. So yeah, Nintendo's smart about the light.
Well, I will say this. Well, go ahead. I'm sorry, kid.
I was just gonna say, they want to push. They want you to have a great experience, not necessarily have the prettiest looking games. And I mean, I'm not saying the new
amazingly pretty.
And I'm not saying the new Switch won't have 4K. I think it's well overdue.
Oh yeah.
But I kind of said this before, but I do believe when we get a new Switch, one, I don't think we're getting a Switch this year, but two, I think it'll be a Switch 2 rather than just like an upgraded version or anything like that.
Wait, you think a Switch 2 is coming out this year?
But no, not this year.
Oh, okay.
No. Maybe an announcement. No. Maybe an announcement next year. Then next year after. But no, I think it'll just be a Switch 2, and then maybe that would have.
So guys, I have to ask the hard question. What does a Switch 2 look like in y'all's vision?
Oh man. Nintendo, every console has been something we would never imagine. So I'm not going to attempt that right now. I can't. Because whoever imagined the Wii, like who would ever have imagined the Wii? Like that's not anything that I would have thought about. And then the Switch, I would never have thought about that. But Nintendo it's just innovative. I mean, just like they got people on their team that's been dreaming these things up for years, and you want me to try to kind of think of something in 5 seconds? Nah, not doing it. Not falling for it.
You're the Nintendo guy. You should be able to do it. Because I did it. I'm going to call it right now.
What do you think it is?
The next thing that got come out is this highly advanced microchip processor that you can implant into your brain.
Oh, that's PlayStation. That's they have the spores that you can inhale and you can then play your games through your brain. That's PlayStation.
But see, they don't have that innovation, because remember they always copy.
They do copy.
They copy them and Microsoft. So yeah, who else would be capable of leading this microchip fantasy?
I hope that doesn't happen. I'm gonna call you by your name there, BP. I hope that does not happen, man. Oh man,
I want to break you. What about you, kid? I'm just curious, man. Just throw something out there. What you think?
Just improve on the Switch now. So maybe a 4K dock. Handheld, it gets at least 1080p. Maybe a little bit bigger screen, handheld. Better battery life.
So this is your Switch 2 outlook, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, just improve on a Switch, because I think the Switch itself concept is pretty cool. I enjoy the concept of it. I wish they would bring it bring it into 2021, because the Switch just feels like it's stuck in 2014 or 2012 or something like that,
Yeah. Well, hear me out, guys. What about this idea? The Power Glove 2.
Oh my God! All right, I think it's time to wrap it up. Oh my God!
I figured y'all like that.
No.
Guy right here.
With Nintendo, you got to take the bad with the good. You don't get
you gotta know, man. Some things are just gimmicks. That was a gimmick. They knew that.
And to our audience, realize there's some youthful listeners out there. You're gonna have to Google Power Glove.
Yeah.
That's all I can tell you. I'm not even gonna waste the time trying to explain that. Just look it up and thank me later.
Yeah, man, it's a gimmick, and it helped to bring attention to Nintendo. So they may have another weird gimmick later on, but that's not going to be their bread and butter.
I would hope not. I say that jokingly, but if that happens, then I'm just gonna have to buy some lottery tickets or something.
All right, are we going to talk about the need for multiplayer games to be free, since what Microsoft tried to do with doubling the price of their gold membership? Or we want to just hold off on that?
Well, we can let that be a little teaser.
Okay.
Yeah, a little something for next time.
Yeah, Microsoft, you did wrong. But luckily, you listened to the consumers, and you made the correct decision afterwards.
Did something Sony or Nintendo wouldn't do.
That's a
listened.
lie. That's a lie. Sony has made changes by listening to their consumers. Nintendo, of course not. I'm not even gonna lie on that one. Nintendo is gonna do what Nintendo does.
Yeah, you gotta keep it on 100 on that one. That's true.
True.
And Sony, and maybe they will, but it takes them a minute.
It takes them a minute, yeah.
As a matter of fact, it
After
takes
they
them
got
so
your
long.
money.
It takes them so long. Well, that too. But it takes them so long that they somehow make it to where they make it seem like they are the ones that came up with the idea.
That is true too.
It's like crossplay. Yeah, this is what you guys have been wanting for. You didn't realize you wanted. It's like, no, we asked for that.
We didn't ask for it.
So that's how it goes down.
Now you want to play nice because you
time.
see, yeah. Well, man, welcome, y'all. This is 2021, our first show of the year.
2021. Yes, indeed. Long overdue. Sorry about that too, guys. But we're just trying to. We have some technical difficulties here and there, but hopefully things are back on track.
Yeah, you won't hear that from us again. I promise. No more technical difficulties.
Nice. All right, man. Don't be sound like no corporation out here, man.
You got the joke just now, didn't you? Yeah.
Promise no more delays. No
more, man. No more delays.
All right. I don't want it like CDPR, man.
Oh,
well, actually,
man. On that note,
I'm sorry, kid.
On that note, thank y'all for taking some time to hang out with us and listen to us ramble. Definitely appreciate that.
Indeed.
All right, y'all. You'll be easy.
Let's get it.
All right.